lives at midnight. Hey night listener, tonight we enter the shadows. Streetlights blink like dying stars. Rain streaks down the windows like fingers. The sound of footsteps echoes behind you, but you're sure no one's there. The city smells like secrets and wet pavement. And something in the air is wrong. Not loud wrong, quiet wrong. Like someone moved the furniture of reality just enough that you keep bumping into things you thought you knew. If this story found you, maybe it's because you've been followed too. So, before we vanish into this mystery, like the video and subscribe only if you can handle the truth buried beneath the lies. And tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and are you chasing the truth, the thrill, or the justice? Now lock your doors, take a deep breath, and follow me into the dark. You find the envelope wedged between your apartment door and its frame. There's no name on the front. Just a time, 1200 a.m. Just a word. Deliberation. The paper feels old, like it's been waiting. The ink smudged, but deliberate. You open it, expecting junk mail, a prank, a wrong address, but it's your handwriting inside. You didn't write it. Or maybe you did. Once. We never finished the game. One more round. Meet at the place where guilt was agreed. Bring your memory, or what's left of it. You scan the hallway. Empty. No footsteps. No laughter. Just a hum from the exit sign that sounds a little too much like a whisper. You should throw the letter away. Instead, you grab your coat. The courthouse is closed. Should be locked. But as you approach the jury entrance, an old, lesser-used side door, you see it's cracked open. Someone left it for you. Inside silence and dust, you follow the hallway, past the courtroom, past the jury room you sat in 10 years ago. Everything's colder than it should be. You reach the deliberation room. The lights buzz once, then hold. There are chairs arranged like the trial just ended yesterday, and at the head of the table, a deck of cards. No logos, just words. One card per chair. Your name is on one of them. Not your first name, your juror number. You pick it up. It's damp on the underside, written in thin black ink. You were the only one who hesitated. Why you freeze? You're not alone in the room. A camera blinks red in the corner, and someone behind the glass is watching and taking notes. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You sit. The cards wait. The room feels like a memory trying to trap you, and the game has already started. The rules are always changing. The door clicks shut behind you. Not a slam, just final. You rise from the chair, walk once around the table. The cards are still there, 9 in total, each with a juror number, each with a name you almost forgot. Some faded, some smudged, all with short messages and a line back. She lied to end it. He voted before it started. One never existed. Your card says you hesitated. Theirs say they conspired. You don't remember it being a conspiracy. You remember it being hot, boring. 4 days of cross-examinations, 2 of closing arguments. The defendant didn't even flinch when the verdict came in. But maybe that's because he knew. You open a drawer in the corner of the deliberation room. You don't know why you expect something to be there, but you do. And there is a courtroom sketch, ripped down the middle. It's the jurors, your old panel, drawn in charcoal, 1 line per person. But juror number 4, Vanessa, the woman with the quiet voice and perfect hair, is torn straight out of the center. Only her seat remains, empty, like the artist knew she wouldn't last. You flip it over. A date scrawled on the back. Tonight. The same day you got the letter. Vanessa is missing. You check your phone. No missed calls, no texts, just a single notification blinking in your inbox from unknown @chambers. Recalled subject opening statements. Reconsidered body. Look under her chair. You glance back at the sketch, then to the real chair it depicts. You kneel down, fingers trembling. There's a faint line etched into the wooden floorboards. A cut. Why the verdict was never final. The hallway outside the deliberation room is longer than you remember. Longer and darker. You don't recall there being this many doors. Some are closed, some slightly ajar. One is just missing. A blank wall where a door used to be. You glance back at the courtroom badge in your pocket. Vanessa's ID. It's warm now, like it's absorbing your panic. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You find yourself in the public gallery. The courtroom itself feels like it's been sealed in wax. Everything's too quiet. Benches covered in thin dust. The judge's gavel sits, untouched. The witness stand is cracked, like someone tried to pull it loose. On the defense table, a manila folder. Your name typed on the tab. Not your real name. Not even your juror number. Just one word. Deliberator. You open it. Inside is a transcript from 10 years ago, your trial. But it's wrong. Completely, deliberately wrong. The defendant's name has changed. So has the charge. You remember a burglary turned manslaughter. But this says unlawful jury tampering intent to obstruct justice. And the defendant, Vanessa R. Elwood, juror number 4, the woman who sat beside you, who voted guilty without blinking, who whispered, "It's safer this way." When the room was split, you keep flipping. Your name appears again, this time in the margins. Notes scribbled in red. He didn't report it. Watch his hesitation. Complicit by silence. You back away from the folder like it might burn you. The courtroom clock ticks once, then twice. You glance up. It's not showing the right time. It's showing the verdict date. The date you were supposed to forget. October 17th. But in your memory, it was November. So which is wrong, your memory or the trial? Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. Suddenly, the gallery doors creak open. A figure steps through. Tall, unhurried. Umbrella in one hand, folder in the other. You don't recognize him yet. Everything about him feels familiar. He nods once and places a file on the prosecutor's table, then vanishes into the wings. You approach slowly, warily. The folder isn't labeled. Inside a single photograph, not of the trial, of your apartment building, taken yesterday. Your window circled in red ink. Below it, in bold, what did you really see that night? It was never about the truth. It was about control. And now, it's slipping. You trace it. Find a small latch. It opens easily. Inside, a torn piece of red fabric and a courtroom ID badge. Vanessa's. The photo is scratched out, but her eyes are visible. Wide. Scared. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Behind you, the cards shift. No breeze, no draft, but one card flips on its own. You approach slowly. Juror number 6. Back of card now reads, "He's watching." The red light on the camera glows brighter. The rules have changed, and this time there may not be a verdict, just judgment. A photograph that wasn't taken. You clutch the photo, and it feels like it's vibrating in your hand, too warm, too sharp. The red circle around your window pulses like a target. But it's not the photo itself that freezes your breath. It's what's missing. Your blinds were closed that night. You know they were. So how did this photo capture what's inside your apartment? There, through the glass, faint, grainy, but undeniable, is a silhouette sitting at your table, not moving, not you, someone else, someone watching you from inside your life. You flip the photo over, written in rushed ink, section 4. You missed something. Check the deliberation room again. Back wall, behind the mirror. You return like the courthouse is breathing you back in. The deliberation room hums with static you can't hear but feel in your teeth. The mirror at the far end is cracked. Not broken cracked. Hairline fractures like spider legs, webbing out from one small center point, as if someone punched it, but only once. You approach slowly, heart like a metronome set to dread. You touch the mirror's edge, cold, fake. Your fingernail taps it once hollow. You find the seam along the wall. A thin blade of light creeps from behind the frame. You press. It opens. Behind the mirror is a crawl space. Dust, dead silence, and a chair facing out. Whoever sat here wasn't on trial. They were watching. The glass was never a mirror. It was a window. You step inside the narrow chamber. There's a camera, disconnected, a folder on the floor, and a single item on the chair seat. A key, old, worn, tied to a red string. The tag reads, Jury Room Locker Number 4. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The folder has one page, a transcript of a conversation. Your voice and hers. Vanessa. You read the lines, eyes shaking. You. This isn't part of the trial. Her. It never was. You. Why me? Her. Because you listened. You flip the page. Nothing more. Just a stamp at the bottom. Game in progress. You step out. The mirror doesn't reflect your face anymore. Just the chair. Just the key. Just the empty room. And somewhere behind you, another door opens without a sound. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. The prosecutors smile. Cracked first. You follow the corridor beyond the mirror room, deeper into the courthouse's bowels where public eyes were never meant to go. The walls close in. No lights. Just the occasional flicker from an overhead emergency bulb buzzing like it's thinking too hard. You know where you're going. Or maybe something older than memory is dragging you there. Courtroom 3B. The room that never appeared on the official jury map. It's locked, but the key from locker number 4 slides in like it's been waiting. The door opens on hinges that whimper. Inside a forgotten courtroom, everything's smaller. The judge's bench is barely a desk. The gallery is only 4 rows deep. No jury box, no witness stand. Just 2 chairs, face to face, a table between them. On the table, a single VHS tape. Label reads, Closing Arguments. Practice, run. Your fingers hesitate before touching it. And then you notice beneath the tape, a photograph. The prosecutor. His name was Carroll. You remember his smile. Perfect, rigid, trained. In the photo, he's not smiling. He's looking sideways at a mirror. The same mirror you just stepped behind. And written in grease pencil on the photo's glass overlay. He knew it was performative. He just didn't know who was watching. You find a VCR tucked under the judge's bench. It clicks to life after a cough of dust. The tape spins. The footage plays. You see the prosecutor Carroll rehearsing his closing argument. Only it's not the version you remember. He's angry. Too emotional. He throws down pages, paces. He mutters things that make no sense for the trial you sat through. They changed the charges. Midway. Said he was easier to frame. No one will know. They'll all be watching her. Just sell the story. Clean. Watertight. Empathetic. He stops. Looks dead at the camera. Like he sees you. And if one of them figures it out, juror 4, just make it look like guilt. Make her the problem. The tape cuts. Static. Then one more frame. Still. The prosecutor sitting in a parked car. Eyes wide. Throat slit. But no blood. Just a note taped to his lapel. Everyone plays. Some lose louder. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You eject the tape. It's warm in your hands. You put it back on the table. And as you step out of courtroom 3B, the lights all shut off behind you one by one. Tick, tick, tick. Like a verdict you can't stop. The quietest juror spoke last. Back in the main corridor, something's changed. The hallway has shifted, stretched. Doors appear where there were none. Jury deliberation rooms that never existed. Each one marked not with numbers, but with questions etched into brass plaques. What did you vote for? What did you hear? What did you bury? You pass them all. Then you see it. Room silent. Juror, the plaque is scratched, defaced, but still legible. You open the door. Inside is a room shaped like a cube. No chairs, no table, just a projector humming quietly and a projection on the far wall. A recorded deposition, dated 1 month after your trial. The figure on screen. Juror number 8. You strain to remember her name. Janine? Maybe. The one who never spoke. She doodled flowers at the margins of a notepad. Never raised her hand. Everyone assumed she was simple or fragile. She wasn't. He was already dead before we voted. No one said it, but everyone knew. Janine stares off camera, voice calm. Vanessa figured it out first. Not that the defendant was innocent, just that the trial wasn't real. She blinks. Slowly. They watched us like actors, gave us lines. Some followed the script, some ad-libbed, but all of us, we agreed to the ending. The video flickers. New footage begins. This time it's security cam grain. Janine walking toward the courthouse after hours. She's holding something in her hand. A glove. Red leather. Too elegant for her. She drops it at the steps. Looks straight at the camera. And mouths, "Your turn." A red leather glove now lies on the floor beneath the projector. Exactly where she dropped it. You didn't see it when you entered, but you see it now. You pick it up. It's warm. Inside, a slip of paper. Scrawled handwriting. Vanessa's verdict wasn't guilt. It was mercy. Locker number 9. Use the glove. You knew, but pretended you didn't. A light clicks on above the exit door. It blinks in threes, like a warning or a countdown. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. Locker 9 wasn't empty, just waiting. You follow the signs back to the jury locker corridor, a low-ceilinged hallway painted government beige, scuffed and weary. Rows of lockers stretch down both walls, each locked, each labeled. You pass your old locker, number 3, still dented from the time someone slammed it during deliberation. But it's no 9 you're after. Vanessa's. You slip the red leather glove onto your hand. It fits too well, as if you've worn it before. You press your gloved hand against locker number 9's surface. There's a click. The lock releases. Inside, not clothes, not a purse, not personal belongings, just a single courtroom audio tape, a sealed envelope, and a mirror propped upright. Your reflection is distorted, too still, almost watching you. You grab the envelope first. It's thick, heavy with guilt. Inside a collection of court sketches, all of you, from every angle, smiling, frowning, looking confused, all labeled unreliable narrator. The final one is blank, except for red ink scrawled across it. The moment you stopped asking questions was the moment the lie won. Beneath it, another phrase, smaller. You watched her break, and you said nothing. The tape is unmarked. You find a recorder in the corner of the locker. You slide the cassette in, hit play. Static. Then a voice. Vanessa's. He knew the whole time. Juror 3. He watched them rewrite the facts. He saw the judge swap the file, but he still signed off on the verdict. He played along because it was easier than breaking the silence. Your hand clenches. She's talking about you. The tape continues. If this reaches you, it means I didn't make it. Or maybe I did. Either way, justice isn't blind. It's complicit. A pause. Then a whisper. Locker number 13. And don't trust the key. The recorder stops on its own. The red light blinks 3 times, just like the exit sign in the projection room. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You look back at the mirror in locker number 9. Your reflection finally moves, but you don't. It raises its hand, empty. You're still holding the glove, and suddenly, the reflection smiles. Only the reflection. It was never about the truth. It was about control. 13 had never been a number. It was a warning. You close. Locker number 9. The soft thud sounds final. The hallway feels colder now. Longer. Like something just rewrote the distance behind you. Locker number 13 sits farther than it should. You count off the numbers out loud, just to make sure. 11, 12, then a blank. No locker number. Just a faint etching where the metal is darker than the rest. You run your fingers over it. The outline of a spade. No number, just the symbol. Like a playing card pulled from a deck you didn't shuffle. Your hand finds the key from earlier, still warm from your pocket. You hold it near the locker. It doesn't fit. Instead, the glove starts to tighten, squeezing your hand, just slightly, like it's warning you. You take it off, slip it into the slit between the locker's edge and frame. It clicks open. Inside darkness, and then a photograph falls to your feet. You pick it up slowly. It's a shot from above, taken from a courthouse surveillance angle. 12 jurors around a table. 1 empty seat. Your seat. You stare at the photo until you realize every juror is looking in the same direction. At Vanessa. And Vanessa is looking not at the table, but straight at the camera. A message is scribbled on the back. I wasn't the one missing. Inside locker 13 is a briefcase. Old, black leather, fraying at the corners. You flip the latch. Inside stacked case files. But they're not about the defendant. They're about the jurors. Each file with a photo. A psychological profile. Personal addresses. Confidential notes. You flip to yours. The report is short. Cold. Juror 3. Passive. Highly suggestible. Observes but does not interfere. Possible leverage point. Guilt-based compliance. Underlined in red ink. Recruited. Not random. You stare at the word until the rest of the page blurs. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. At the bottom of the briefcase is a cassette tape. You already know the voice. Vanessa, if you found this, then maybe you've started to see it too. Justice isn't blind. It's curated, edited, produced. There was never a real trial, just a stage. And we were the cast. But someone was directing. A pause. Then, look in the mirror in locker 3. One more time. You slam the case shut. The hallway behind you is silent now. Too silent. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The mirror remembered what you forgot. You retrace your steps, each one heavier, echoing louder than it should. Locker number 3 is right where you left it, untouched, indifferent, like it's been waiting for you to stop pretending. Your locker, yours. You open it slowly. Inside, your old juror badge dangles on a frayed lanyard, swinging slightly, though there's no draft. You haven't seen it since the trial ended, but it's the mirror taped to the back wall that stops you cold. You don't remember putting it there, yet it's definitely yours. Your face stares back, but doesn't match the weight behind your eyes. You study it, then look closer. The mirror's surface isn't smooth. It's textured, slightly warped. You run a fingertip along the edge and feel a faint seam, something behind it. You peel the mirror away. Taped behind it is a Polaroid, fresh. Your hand trembles before you even look. It's a photo of you from today, from minutes ago, standing in front of locker 13, holding the briefcase, looking straight at the camera. There is no camera in that hallway, only you. And Vanessa's voice plays in your mind. We were the cast. Someone else was directing. You flip the photo over. One line. How long have you been watched? A second item is tucked into the seam where the mirror was. A small envelope. Inside a single page from what looks like an old script. Typed, scene heading, Inti-ish, jury room, 9 juror 3V. Oh, I didn't mean to get involved. I was just trying to do my part. But they kept watching. Every decision, every word. Until I wasn't sure if I was deciding anything at all. At the bottom, handwritten, the moment you forgot you were acting was the moment the performance became real. You slump against the locker. For a moment, your mind splits. Were you just a pawn or something worse? What if you weren't just recruited? What if you were planted? Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones, and the mirror never lies, unless it was told to. The locker door creaks behind you. You whirl around. It's still open, but now there's another mirror inside. You didn't see it before, and now it shows something else. Not you, not this hallway, but a courtroom, empty, except for Vanessa, sitting at the jury table, staring straight at the glass, mouthing the words, "Come back." She never left the courtroom, only the story. The mirror's glow deepens, no longer reflecting but pulling. You don't remember reaching out. You only remember the cold. A static ripple hums through your fingertips as they touch the glass. And just like that, you're no longer in the hallway. You're back in the courtroom. Not as it was on the day of the verdict, as it is now. Or maybe always was. The lights buzz, but never flicker. The clocks have no hands. The air smells of erased chalk and something darker. Forgotten oaths. Vanessa sits at the end of the jury box. Not bound, not bruised. Just waiting. She sees you and nods, as if she knew you'd come. You missed the final act, she says quietly. You don't speak. The words wouldn't help here. She gestures to the table in the center of the courtroom. There's a single script binder. You step forward. The pages are blank except the cover. Trial of the invisible witness. And beneath it, written by you. Your stomach knots. Vanessa's voice is calm, almost hypnotic. Every juror got their script, even me. We followed our roles, rehearsed lines, cues. But someone started rewriting. She stands slowly. And when you rewrite justice, truth becomes a performance, and guilt becomes a direction. She tosses you something, a cracked gavel, splintered at the head, one side soaked in red ink or not ink. You catch it anyway. The weight pulls you down. Vanessa watches. The prosecutor lied. The judge played along. But the real question is, who gave the orders? She walks to the defense table. taps a single envelope. This has your signature. You open it. Inside a sealed verdict slip. You read it, and your own handwriting blinks back. Guilty. Only the name listed isn't the defendant's, it's yours. You hear your own voice, from memory or madness. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The gavel feels heavier, and you don't remember when the jury box filled up again. But it has. 11 faces, all watching. One empty seat. Yours. Vanessa steps aside. You can still change the ending, but you'll have to testify first. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The oath you never took still bound you. You approach the witness stand like it's a coffin, polished wood, gleaming too brightly in the courtroom's dim light. A single microphone buzzes low, like it's remembering every lie ever whispered into it. The judge's bench is empty, but the gavel still echoes in your hand. You sit. The seat is warm, as if someone just left. Vanessa stands nearby, arms crossed, unreadable. State your name, she says. You hesitate, not because you don't remember, but because you've never been asked in this room before. You answer anyway. The microphone cuts out halfway through your name. Still, everyone hears you. The jurors, those 11 faces in the box, nod slightly. They already knew. Vanessa leans forward. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but, I didn't come here to lie? You interrupt. She tilts her head, not impressed, just watching. Then let's begin. She places a folder in front of you, stamped, redacted. Your fingers tremble as you open it. Inside are screenshots, emails, messages, notes, all from you. Some of them you recognize, some of them you don't. These are your lines, Vanessa says, before they were edited. You flip through. One page catches your eye. If we lose control of the story, we lose control of the verdict. Your own voice, from somewhere deep in your past. The microphone clicks back on. You're breathing loud now. Too loud. You glance at the jury. One juror writes furiously in a notepad even though pens were never provided. Another is holding a mirror instead of a notebook. And another is Vanessa. Again, same eyes, same stare. You blink. She's back at the table. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. Vanessa speaks. Tell us why you voted guilty. You try to answer, but the room starts filling with static. Not sound, memory. Every time you didn't speak up. Every time you let someone else rewrite your judgment. Every time you sat in silence and called it justice, because I didn't know what else to do. You whisper. The courtroom lights flicker. Vanessa nods slowly. Now, tell them the real verdict. She places a fresh verdict slip on the stand. You pick up the pen. Your hand hovers over two options. Guilty, innocent. But a third box appears beneath them. Complicit. And this time you check it. The gavel shatters in your hand. It was never about the truth. It was about control. Verdicts fade, but consequences. Remember the gavel splinters like a lie hitting daylight. You don't flinch. Not this time. The word, complicit, glows faintly on the verdict slip doesn't. Red ink bleeding through the page, soaking into the wood beneath it. It looks alive, like it's still deciding whether to stain or forgive. You glance up. The jury box is now empty. All 11 gone. Only Vanessa remains. She leans against the prosecution's table, her arms folded, expression tune unreadable. But her eyes, they hold something sharper than judgment, recognition. So you finally saw it, she says quietly. This was never about what he did, or didn't do. You know, she's talking about the defendant, the man whose name no one says out loud anymore. whose crime everyone remembers differently. You ask, flat, then what was it about? She walks toward you. Each step leaves a faint echo, not in the room in your memory. Footsteps that once trailed you home, down rainy streets, outside the courthouse, beneath your window. It was about the silence, the way you watched, the way they counted on it. Every institution survives by betting on people like you. You look down. The verdict slip has vanished. In its place, an old cassette recorder. The same one from Locker 9. It rewinds itself, stops, clicks. This is Juror 3. Final thoughts before verdict. It's your voice, shaky, unsure, raw. I don't know who's guilty anymore, but I know who benefited. We were all fed a story, and we swallowed it whole because it tasted like certainty, but it was hollow. No meat, just seasoning. You remember recording it now, late at night, alone in your car. You thought no one would ever hear it, but someone did. Vanessa gestures to the bench. Do you know why the judge never came back after recess? You blink. You hadn't noticed until now. The judge's chair has always been empty. Every ruling, every objection, autopiloted. A game that ran without a dealer. Vanessa opens the door behind the bench. A black room lies beyond, empty. No chambers, no robes, just walls covered in recordings. Your voice, other jurors, prosecutors, even Vanessa. Each one marked, scripted. You swallow hard. The courtroom was the stage, but someone else built the set, and whoever it was, they're still watching. A final phrase flashes on the monitors. Complicit is not the end, it's the invitation. And below it, room 04. Vanessa turns to you. You ready to meet the writer. You don't speak, but your legs move. You knew, but pretended you didn't. It was never about the truth. It was about control. Room 404 was never meant to exist. The door creaks open slower than it should, as if even the hinges are warning you. Behind it, a stairwell, old, cracked, no elevator. Each step marked with faint numbers that descend. 1, 2, 3. There is no sign of room 404. Not yet, but Vanessa gestures downward with her chin. It's below the archive, buried past the files they erased, the place where the story stops being told and starts being made. You descend. Each step feels less like a direction, more like a confession. The walls change, wood paneling gives way to stone, then steel, then nothing. Just darkness. You light the small jury room candle from your pocket. You don't remember taking it, but it's warm, wax melting into your palm. The light flickers. Numbers continue. 17, chut 18. Then, a door. No label, no knob, but etched across the front, 404, a line coded in error. You press your palm to it. The door disappears. Not opens, vanishes. Inside is a room that makes no sound. Walls lined with typewriters, all clacking on their own. No ribbons, no fingers, just keys hammering out stories, verdicts, obituaries, case summaries, news segments, transcripts. Everyone about you, each version different. In one, you're the whistleblower. In another, the conspirator. In one, dead by suicide. In another, elected judge. All signed, scripted by unknown. You find a typewriter still and silent, waiting. A blank sheet already rolled in. You sit. Vanessa's voice echoes behind you. This is where everyone eventually ends up. The last courtroom, the real one. You stare at the keys. They pulse, softly. Then words begin to appear. You're not typing. They're typing you. You missed the moment she decided to become dangerous, and now she's writing the next scene. You spin around. Vanessa is gone, but a photograph lies where she stood. You pick it up. It's the original jury, the very first one from years ago, before your case, before any trial you knew. Vanessa's there, so are the others, and in the center, you. You don't remember being there, but you're smiling. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. The typewriter starts again. Your name at the top, underlined. And then, the first line, you thought you were the juror, but you were always the defendant. And the verdict is still being written. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The defendant was always off script. You back away from the typewriter, but the paper keeps feeding through, line by line. Ink blooms without touch, like veins threading across truth. The jury never left. They're watching through mirrors, tape, and memory, but they're not deciding guilt anymore, just intent. You want to run, but the room has no exits now. Only doors you never saw open. One to your childhood bedroom, wallpaper peeled and curling. One to the courtroom, this time flooded with static. One to an empty subway, a train arriving with no lights on. They pulse softly, as if syncing with your breath. Each doorway leads to a version of the story, but none of them lead out. You knew, but pretended you didn't. A hiss behind you. You turn. Another cassette recorder. The same one from before, but this time different. This one has your face taped to it, and a label. Confession. Unplayed. Your finger hesitates over the play button, then clicks. Your voice, but slower, more exhausted. You want the truth. I'll give you pieces. I saw what they did to her. I let it happen, because it was easier than rewinding everything we were told. The voice pauses, breathes. Vanessa didn't break the system. She showed it already was. And you watched, and took notes, and told yourself that counting the cracks wasn't the same as causing them. The tape stops, but the silence it leaves is heavier than sound. You look back at the typewriter. It's still writing, but now it's a dialogue. Prosecutor, did you alter the verdict? You know? Narrator, he did. Prosecutor, did you know the trial was staged? You, not at first. Narrator, he always knew. And now a line from Vanessa. The quiet ones rewrite the loudest lies. You feel it now, that missing piece. The moment you thought you were the victim, but it was just the safest role. Because what you really were was the editor. You sat in rooms, reframed conversations, softened facts, phrased guilt in digestible terms. You didn't lie. You shaped. And that's always harder to forgive. The keys stop. One final line hammers onto the page. Verdict suspended. Pending final scene. You stand, turn. Room 04 is gone. And now you're alone in the first hallway again. Locker 13 open. Candle burned out. But the mirror now shows only one thing. A courtroom on fire. And the bench still empty. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The fire was set long before you arrived. You stare into the mirror, but it no longer reflects. It records. The flames behind the judge's bench dance like they're choreographed, elegant, rehearsed. The jury box collapses in slow motion, wood snapping like ribs, and yet no one screams, just silence. And then applause. You step closer. The mirror fogs up from your breath. The phrase appears in the condensation. We appreciate your performance. Not signed, just seen. You reach for the glass again. but your hand passes through, and when you pull it back, you're holding something. A ticket stub. Not for a trial, for a show. Justice. A tragedy in 3 acts. The date printed on it. Years ago. You were there before all of this. You just didn't remember the role. Or didn't want to. You knew, but pretended you didn't. A sound behind you. Footsteps. Measured. Confident. Familiar. You turn. Vanessa again. No longer the broken witness. Now dressed in a dark suit. Clipboard in hand. We had to see how far you'd go before rewriting it yourself. The fire was just a test. You passed when you stayed to watch. You asked the question you've been holding back since the courtroom started to unravel. What is this place? She smiles, not kindly. It's the part no one cross-examines. She offers you a folder. Heavy. Smells like scorched paper. Label Exhibit A. Storylines. Compromised by truth. Inside cases. Jurors. Transcripts. All rewritten. Your name appears at least a dozen times. Roles. Juror. Bailiff. Witness. Suspect. And in one file, script doctor. You didn't just observe injustice, Vanessa says. You helped smooth it. Another folder slides from her hands, lands at your feet. You open it. Photographs fall out, each one a face from your past. People you avoided, people you watched disappear. And one Vanessa, seated alone on a bench, clutching the original verdict slip. On it, innocent. You see now, you changed it. You were the tie-breaking vote. You didn't mean to be. You just couldn't be the one to dissent. Vanessa crouches down beside you. This isn't punishment. It's remembrance. You're not here because you lied. You're here because you helped make it all sound true. The fire from the courtroom begins bleeding through the hallway now. But it doesn't burn. It illuminates. Every file, every face, every script you thought was someone else's. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The mirror returns, whole now. This time it shows only one thing. You, wearing the judge's robes, holding a pen. The final scene, still unwritten. The last witness was never called. The robes are heavier than expected. Not metaphorically, literally. They hang off your shoulders like wet guilt. The fibers woven from every decision you postponed. Every silence you let pass as strategy. In the mirror, the judge version of you doesn't blink. He's waiting. For what? Exactly behind you. The hallway extends impossibly long now, lined with doors that never used to be there, each labeled with numbers and names, some familiar, some blurred, some missing vowels like broken memories. You walk. Door Ad B. Deliberation chamber, alternate realities. Door 11F. Rewrites pending clearance. Door 13 just her. That last one pulses with faint light. You open it. Inside a recording booth. One microphone. One chair. One window into a viewing gallery. Empty. Except for a single woman. Vanessa. But not the one you know. She's older here. Weathered. Not tired trained. She speaks into her own mic. This is the record. The part they tried to seal. You sit at your mic. Say nothing. They erased the last witness because her story wasn't clean. It implicated everyone, even the jury. You try to respond, but your mic isn't live. You tap it. The light flickers. Then, audio privileges revoked. Conflict of narrative. You watch as Vanessa continues, unaware of you watching. She reads names, yours among them. Then, phrases from prior testimony, fragments that sound familiar. The hallway was never real. Room 404 is an algorithm. Justice was the performance, not the verdict. You bang on the glass. Nothing, but something changes. Behind her, on the wall of the viewing room, a door begins to open. Light floods in. A silhouette enters. Not Vanessa. You, or another version. The one who never spoke. The one who never stopped watching. The quietest version of you. The one who made all this possible. They stand beside her, place a hand on her shoulder, and together they look up, right into your eyes. Vanessa mouths a final phrase. Truth isn't told. It's overheard, and the window cracks, just slightly. Your mic hisses on. Now you can speak. You lean forward, but the words escape before you are ready. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You don't know if the world heard it, but you did. And now the gallery lights blink red. A trial has begun, but this time you're not the judge. You're the final witness, and the questions will not be scripted. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The gallery only watches the guilty. You're ushered down the long corridor by no one, no guards, no bailiff, no hands on your shoulders, but somehow you move, pulled, as if the floor knows your weight. At the end, double doors barred like theater curtains. You're not in a courtroom. You're in an auditorium. Tiered seats in a dome of shadows. A spotlight centers on one thing, the witness box, and beside it, a chair. Not for the witness, for you. You sit. Not because you're told, because you've already learned that resistance only delays the inevitable. Across the room, a panel of blurred faces flickers into clarity. One by one, familiar forms emerge. The jurors, the judge, Vanessa, even the bailiff, who never blinked. And finally, the last figure on the panel, you. Again, a version cleaner, sharper, unburdened, scripted. They address you in unison, not speaking, but thinking loudly enough to hear. What is your version of the truth? Begin with the moment you forgot who you were pretending to be. Your mouth is dry, but your mind full. So you answer, not with words at first, but with a gesture. You pull from your pocket the single item that remained unchanged through every room. The verdict slip, blank, no ink, just wait. You hold it up. The lights in the gallery dim. A voice whispers. The first lie was that justice needed a jury. You glance around. The audience is filling in now, row by row, not with people, with versions of people. Every character you've encountered, every version of Vanessa, every truth you pretended wasn't yours. They watch, not because they want justice, but because they want to see if you lie again. You clear your throat. A microphone appears. No cord, just breath. You think I knew all along, that I made choices, but I only followed the path I was offered. A quiet seat, a neutral vote, a story that seemed true. I didn't kill the truth. I just waited for it to die on its own. Silence, then laughter, not mockery, recognition. The gallery has heard that before. A woman in the second row holds up a photograph. Vanessa, again, but she's smiling. And behind her, you, holding the match. The fire wasn't justice, it was convenience. It burns cleanest when no one's watching. And that's when they give you the final instruction. Tell the last truth, or rewrite the verdict again. The verdict slip turns warm in your hand. The ink forms this time without pen, still pending. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You wrote the rules you thought you followed. The verdict slip pulses in your palm. Not paper anymore. A fragment of memory. Thin as guilt. Heavy as omission. It glows faintly with something truer than ink. Behind you, the gallery no longer watches silently. They whisper, each voice a version of your own. We all wanted out, but only some of us wanted to remember how we got in. He didn't lie. He curated. The lights shift. You're no longer in the auditorium. Now you're in the editing room. Reels of tape spin backwards. Screens glow with scenes from cases past Vanessa pacing in a holding cell. The trial where her file was switched. You, sitting beside the prosecutor, offering a simpler version of the timeline. You watch your own hand cross out 3 lines of testimony and replace them with inconclusive, possibly fabricated. The assistant beside you blurred. Anonymous says, it's cleaner this way. And you said nothing. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The screen flickers again. New footage. You, alone, rehearsing a statement in the mirror. I wasn't part of it. I was doing my job. It wasn't a conspiracy, just a collection of edits. The phrase echoes through the editing bay. Just edits. Then a symbol on the screen catches your eye. That same verdict slip, but this time, its reverse sign is visible. Etched into it, ruled Dideo. The story wins. You begin to understand. This was never about law, not even about truth. It was a narrative game. Everyone was dealt a script. Some refused, others rewrote. And you footnoted the margins until the whole thing bled into acceptability. You built a world where accountability was optional, as long as the phrasing was elegant. A mechanical voice hums through the room, final cut requested. Insert conclusion. If you do not respond, one will be chosen for you. Vanessa's voice joins it calmer now. Controlled. What you decide won't change the past, but it will decide whether you stay part of the edit or become the error. You look down at the keyboard. Every key is blank, except one delete and one other record. What if you've been the suspect all along? What if they were never looking to punish you, just to see if you'd admit you were in the room? The gallery isn't watching anymore. They're waiting, because the real trial never had a jury, just you, and the story you chose to tell yourself. You reach forward. The ending was always pre-written. Your hand hovers over the 2 keys. Delete, record. Each gleams with a different weight. Not options confessions. You press neither. Not yet. Because the moment you choose, you become one of them. A watcher, a forger, a function of the machine. Instead, you glance back. The room behind the glass is no longer empty. It's the courtroom again. But the faces are masks now. Plastic, glossy, identical, all clapping in unison. Their hands too smooth, their eyes too still. They applaud your indecision, because indecision is control's most loyal ally. And control doesn't punish you for lying. It waits patiently for your silence. A voice crackles overhead. Vanessa's again. But not the version you knew. Not the trembling witness. Not the clipboard handler. This one's older, more precise. Let me tell you what you've already chosen. You brace for another twist, but this one's worse. You believed you were part of something corrupt, but you were part of something curated. Justice isn't blind, it's edited. A drawer slides open beneath the console. Inside, a sealed envelope marked "Return to Narrator." You tear it open. It's your original statement from the trial, except it's been annotated. Dozens of red marks, phrases replaced. What you said, I don't remember enough to be sure. What's written now? I refuse to testify against the system. And in the margin approved for final broadcast, you step away from the console, turn to the walls. Each panel now reveals a different version of you. The juror who kept his head down, the editor who softened the evidence, the listener who never raised an objection, the narrator who claimed this was someone else's story, but it never was. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The microphone lights up again. One final prompt. Begin your statement. You speak. There's no justice when the rules change after the verdict. No truth when silence earns applause. And no innocence for those who watch the wrong story win. The lights flicker, not out, into focus. The keys beneath your hand vanish. The record light glows once more this time, from inside your chest. The room fades, but the story, it keeps recording, because the final section was always waiting for your voice. No one escapes the author's chair. You find yourself seated again, but not in the gallery, not in the booth, not even in the courtroom. This time, it's somewhere smaller, tighter, a study, mahogany walls, a desk stained by 1,000 ink spills, stacks of old case files, yellowed and brittle, and in the center of the room, waiting for you, like it always knew you'd arrive, the manuscript, its title engraved in the leather binding. Justice was a game, and everyone had their own secrets. You open to the first page, your handwriting, but not recent, not neat, messy, fragmented, like someone trying to remember something they agreed to forget. The first line reads, "The truth doesn't start with evidence. It starts with motive." You flip ahead. Pages are already filled in. Moments you remember only vaguely, but written in vivid, unblinking detail. You flip faster and suddenly stop at the final blank page. There's only one sentence waiting to be completed. The final witness turned to the jury and said, "You hold the pen, but the words won't come easily, because now you know this isn't fiction. It never was. This story has always been an autopsy, not of a crime, of you, your silence, your edits, your complicity, and worse, your belief that by standing back, you were staying clean. A shadow passes behind you in the room. Vanessa. No, it's your reflection. In the glass of the study door, you can't see the face, but the outline is unmistakable, holding a script, reading it back, word for word, line for line, the same script you just lived. And when the reflection speaks, it uses your voice. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You look down. Your hand finishes the sentence. Tell them the verdict they expect, and no one asks who whispered it. You close the manuscript. The ink is still drying. The truth, you realize, was never on trial. Only your willingness to see it was.